guys, today we'll be making clean and simple cards using some ink blending with Catherine Pooler inks and masking with a DIY circle mask. Hello and welcome to Debbie J's Crafting Corner. I'm Debbie and each week I show you how you can create awesome cards and other crafty projects. Because if I can make it, you can too. So if you'd like to see more tutorials and inspirational videos, be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the little bell to be notified every time I upload a new video. To start things off, I created my own DIY mask. Using a 3-inch circle punch from Paper Studio, I punched a circle out of a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece of cardstock. Then I taped a piece of accent opaque white cardstock onto my Holtz glass mat with some washi tape and taped the negative space mask on top of it. This way I have a circle opening that I can ink blend through. I'm also using some of my favorite inks from Catherine Pooler for this card. I'm using It's a Girl for the pink, It's a Boy for the blue, and Pixie Dust for some purple that I can blend in between the two. Using some makeup style blending brushes from Amazon, I added some of the pink to the bottom of the circle, and now I'm coming in with the blue, and I'll bring some of that onto the top portion of the circle. Then I'm going to come in with the Pixie Dust to blend between the pink and the blue. This is going to help the other colors blend together and give me a pretty pastel blend in the circle area of the background. I went back in with a second layer of each of the colors. While I wanted them to stay pretty soft, I did want a little more vibrancy too. Unfortunately, I think there may have been some red left over on one of the brushes from one of my last projects because I did get a little bit of splotching. This is still going to look fine in the end. After the pink, I went back in with the blue up at the top of the panel. And then I blended those colors out with that purple Pixie Dust. Now that the ink blending is done, I'm going to bring in some water splatter. I'll just remove the mask and we will see how that circle looks with that gone. And then I'm going to just spray this down with some water, just using my Holtz Distress Sprayer. Now if you watch, you can see the reaction the water has on that ink. It is just so amazing to me. I'm blotting up the excess, and then I decided to add a little bit of gold as well. I'm using a mini mister that I've got a DIY shimmer spray in, and I'm going to just try doing some flicking of that gold over the panel. Now, I did have a little trouble with this, and I have got some ideas to get better, but I did get a little bit of splatter down, and that's going to look pretty cool. Because I did get this wet, I'm going ahead and just drying it some with my Ranger heat tool, and I'm going to try drying it from both sides of the panel to try to prevent some of the warping or eliminate some of the warping, because the panel did warp pretty significantly. Next, I'm doing a little stamping. The stamp I'm using is from the Vintage Plant Series stamp set from In Love Arts. I'm also using a Happy Birthday sentiment from the Alterations Stamptember framed friendship stamp set. The stamp set unfortunately is no longer available, but you could use any sentiment for this design. Now you guys know I believe in using the supplies that you already have, and this stamp set was already on my desk. To go along with the gold splatter on the background, I decided to do a little heat embossing as well. So I used my anti-static powder tool, and then I'm inking up the stamps with some Wow Clear Embossing ink. I'm using gold Recollections detail embossing powder and just covering the areas that I stamped. Did get pretty good coverage with this time, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm just going to tap off the excess. And then I'm going to just heat that up with my Marvy heat tool, and I really love the way that the gold embossing powder just melts right on the card so you can see it. It basically goes from a translucent, where you can see the card through the powder, to a really nice opaque gold finish. Instead of trimming the panel down with my paper trimmer like I normally do, I decided to add a little interest with a couple of dies. I'm using the Torn Edge rectangle die set from Gemini for this. Now, I wasn't able to find a link to this specific set, but there are others that give a similar effect, and I'll list them in the description down below for you. I'm also not using the largest die. Instead, I'm using the next 3 of the largest dies for this effect. The size that I'm using for the panel is the middle one, and then I'm going to use the other 2 to create a matting layer. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a gold glitter cardstock, and I'm going to use the larger of the frames to basically create a matting layer to go behind my main panel, and then the smaller frame, I'm going to use that on the interior of this panel so that I can save that extra cardstock. No one's going to know that that hole is there once I get everything put together. It's also going to really reveal some of the card base that's going to make it so that my main panel sticks better, because it is really hard to get anything to stick to glitter cardstock. I decided to make this into a top folding card, so I'm making a top folding card base. So I'm taking a piece of 8.5 by 11 heavyweight cardstock from Michaels, and I cut it vertically at 4 1/4. Then I scored one of the panels at 5 1/2, folded it in half with the score on the outside, and just burnishing the fold. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add that frame to the panel. I'm using my dot liner adhesive along all 4 sides of that little frame that we created, and then I'll be able to center that on my card panel pretty easily. What's nice about this adhesive is, although it does hold pretty well, it gives you some time before it really sticks. In case you make a mistake, you can always pull it up and put it back down. Then I'm going to go ahead and use some Arteza foam tape on the back of my panel, and I added a generous amount of art glitter glue to the back of that as well. This is going to do 2 things. It's going to help it hold really well even though there was that bit of warping, and it's also going to let me slide it around a little bit to get that centered perfectly. As a finishing touch, I added some bright gold Nuvo drops to the card. And that finishes up these clean and simple cards using ink blending through a DIY circle mask. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel so you'll know every time I upload a new video. And I would love to see your creations, so I'd like to invite you to join my Facebook group, Crafting with Debbie. There's a link down in the description down below. Here are a couple more videos that I know you'll enjoy. Thanks for watching, and remember, if I can make it, you can too. See you next time.